This is the Purpose Podcast. I am here with MR3, and I am Rayo. Today, we will be talking about leadership on the Purpose Podcast. So, today, I have several questions lined up for us. Today, we'll be talking about leadership, what we think is a good leader, bad leader, and, well, we'll just get right into it and we'll explain the rest. So, number one I have on my list is, what is leadership to you, brother?
Me, I think it's someone who is an example and someone who leads from the front. Not like a manager. I don't see managers as leaders. I think the whole word leader is in there. So someone who leads a group of people. My example would be Jesus Christ.
Oh, okay. Leadership. I think a leader is someone who can lead in a very challenging time and lead to maybe not the best outcome, but a favorable outcome. Leaderships. Who do I have as an example? I have a mentor. He's a PT. He taught me a lot of what I know now. And whenever we had dozens and dozens of patients where everything would be going wrong this day, he and I would just look at each other, and then even though we were both completely stressed out, he'd just say, let's just do it, dude. Like, I don't know what it is, but that quiet confidence that he had about his leadership strategy, that I just found it very comforting. Like, he didn't try to antagonize or like, hey man, you got to get through this. I think he just showed his vulnerability, and that made him seem more human. That to me makes a good leader. Somebody who is strong, but not, I guess, a godly figure to where it seems like, like I'm way better than you and stuff like that.
Someone that's overpowering too.
Yeah. I mean, I've had my share of bad leaders, here and there, but he's one that I was like, yep, I would run through the gates of hell with this guy if he asked me to, but luckily he didn't. Okay, now number 2, what was the time you led, and do you think it ended well?
Well, I used to be a Bible study leader. To me, it didn't end well, not because of the people, but it was just I was new in the church and everything was kind of thrown at me. And later on, a few years into it, I kind of burnt out because I think sometimes you have to be shown a great leader to be a leader before you can lead. And later on, I became a better leader because I was better prepared and had better leaders showing me what to do. What about you?
To touch on what you were talking about, with the knowledge you have now, do you think you could have done it better if you had to do it again?
Yes, a lot better. I mean, with the knowledge I have today, I think I could have done a lot better because mentally I'd be more prepared and things won't be thrown at me because life was thrown at me at the age of 20. So,
Well, it was even when you were a kid.
back then I was more of a follower, but I was never a born leader. So,
Well, I've talked to Marv, and he said, like, yep, that's my big brother. Well, I still have to follow him, even if I don't like him. But anyway, you said back to me. What was the time I had to lead? Oh, there was a time when the clinic I was working for, the person that was in charge was away for 3 to 4 months. I don't remember what it was, but not my mentor, but the guy who owned all these clinics, I cannot really say the name of this place for legal reasons. He said, I don't know, man, you have to lead this place, and he said you're gonna have to lead it by yourself, so I'll help you up to it. And I thought, well, I was trying to use this as leverage to get full-time eventually down the road. So I thought, you know what, I can give it a try. So it was just me and I guess my group of patients that I've had to lead toward the favorable outcome, I'll put it. That's a kind of a loose way of doing it. It wasn't easy, just because I was alone. I had to answer all their questions, and anything they had wrong, I had to answer for. Every mistake was mine. Everything I did wrong, I answered for. And then my mentor, he would check on me every few weeks. He'd visit the clinic and say, hey, do you need anything? Do you need this done? Are you okay? And I said, yeah, I'm okay. And I remember there was this one patient who said, like, yeah, this happened. I didn't really know what was going on. and it kind of looked bad on me. But that, like I said, it was my fault. And my mentor said, "Yeah, she said this. What do you think of that?" And then I thought, well, there's really nobody else to blame. So I guess that's the price of leadership. All the mistakes and failures kind of just fall on you.
It's kind of like nowadays they have the do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, I see that a bit of in fitness culture. There's usually someone with like a really ripped physique, and on YouTube Shorts they'll be like, "Yeah, do this exercise for abs," and then me looking at it from the perspective and my background of PTA, I think, okay, yeah, it'll work eventually, but it's not the most optimal way to train that specific muscle, and I think they preach it just because it's flashy and it's just not necessarily effective, but it looks cool. That's what I think. Do as I say, not as I do. Meaning, do this. I don't do it, but I say I do. So, if you're gullible enough, you'll believe that I do it for myself.
That could be even in the like parents. They usually say that kind of like, okay, I'm gonna smoke or I'm gonna drink, but I don't want you to do that later on in life.
Mm-hmm. The parent says, "Don't you ever smoke, or one day these will kill me. Don't you? Don't you ever follow my footsteps?"
Yeah, it's like they're not really leading. They're kind of just almost like managers these days.
Yeah, I could see that. It seems like you're just managing your kids until they have to leave.
Yeah. I followed some good leaders, like well, he's the head of a church right now, Ron Jones, and then he came like a Pastor Glenn, then onto my pastor, where Pastor Josh, where he followed those guys, and then I learned from him, then Pastor Jerry, then other guys like Chris Brady, a leadership leader. And Orrin Woodward, great guys I would follow anywhere. So those are a couple of examples of some of my favorite leaders.
Oh, did my time at that clinic end well? All things considered, I was all by myself, and I ended with maybe one negative review by a patient. And I will say, yeah, I tried to do the best I could for that patient, but things just didn't work out. I can't get into particulars, but I will say it did not end well for him, but what could I do? That was my mistake. Let's see. Number 3. Did you have to learn to be a leader, or did it just come natural to you?
I had to learn, had to watch others, read about other leaders. So it was not natural. What about you?
Let's see. I'm pretty sure I had to learn it. It took a long time, a really long time. I read books here and there about famous leaders, warriors, and so forth, and I think The Art of War was an interesting one. It's a really dry read if you ever read it. If you like kind of mind-numbing reading, then yeah, The Art of War is pretty good. But ultimately, there's a bunch of things that I took away. But ultimately, what I've learned is usually from another strong leader. I haven't had too many, like as far as personal experience, but my mentor at the clinic, he was a good leader. He showed me what it was to be stern, but not overbearing. He's not even that much older than me, but I really highly respected him. And learn. I suppose I was given a sink or swim scenario, and that was incentive enough to do the best I could. Otherwise, you're fired. Well, either you become a good leader or you go broke, I guess. I'll take trying to learn to be a good leader any day.
Over going hungry?
Oh yeah, over going hungry. But I think, I don't know, maybe I have to think on that one. But I think it's kind of finding a balance of being stern but not an overbearing boss, trying to micromanage every little thing.
Yeah.
Trying to, I feel like when bosses have tried to micromanage little things, I have some restaurant experience, and when you try to micromanage every little thing everybody does, and it just seems like you just kind of lose everything. It's just like everybody just kind of, they're just like, man, he's gonna try to control everything, so I just give up.
Yeah, it's like walking on eggshells around that boss or leader.
Yeah, you and I have worked at a Wendy's before.
Yeah.
You worked at a Wendy's, and I think at yours, your time went better than mine. But I worked at a Wendy's, and it was my first on-the-books government job, and it was not my favorite. I didn't really like it, but I did like one of the leaders. She was really nice, but she was not that stern, so nobody took her seriously. But there was another leader. He was just stern, nothing else, just kind of a mean guy all around. And I understood he got his position because I guess he can lead, but just because you can lead doesn't mean you're good at it. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you're good at it.
Yeah.
But let's see. But yeah, I had to learn it. I guess I learned it from seeing bad bosses. I saw what I didn't want myself to be even when I had to lead, and I saw it from the few good leaders that I had, and I saw what I wanted to be. And then let's see what do we got next. Oh, what is a bad leader to you?
Someone who's overbearing, won't do stuff, but they'll let you do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of those in the religious world. They'll tell you do this, or they'll give you another leader to lead you rather than trying to teach you themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I want you to be a disciple, but I'm not going to teach you. I'm going to give you this person as your mentor, and they're not doing the actual job.
Yeah.
Or pray every day, but I'm not going to do it, or you're not going to see me here on outreach every Saturday, and you won't see me on the outreaches. Kind of like that. I mean, I've seen like that even in working at a grocery store. I had a bad boss. I didn't know that, and until I saw what a good boss was, and she got fired, but I didn't know there was a lot of crooked stuff she was doing behind the scenes. So then I found out all the stuff, all the employees missed her because I guess they were used to doing things the wrong way. So when I was taught a good boss, they didn't want to do things that way. What about in your circumstances?
I think there's good and bad leaders all around in most places you'll go. I've worked several different places. Matter of fact, the place that I'm working is like within looking distance right over there. But at Wendy's, for an example, there's a lot of good people there, but they just weren't very good leaders. Either they weren't stern, or I couldn't take them seriously.
Just managers.
Yeah, they were just managing us until we get off work, I guess. I mean, I'll listen to you because you technically are my boss, but other than that, you don't have my respect. I think ultimately a leader is someone you actually respect and care for. Like that's what I can really follow. If I'm just following you because you hold the power to fire me and that's it, then...
Or just holding a position.
Yeah, then I guess it leaves room for resentment. Like, I'll hate you, or I hate you because because you can fire me and I don't like you at all. But I feel like being a boss is a balance of being stern but likable. And not too likable to where it seems like you're just friends. I don't know, it seems like a whole ordeal that I don't really care to get into.
Yeah.
I don't care to be a boss or anything like that. I think I'm a little bit too chill to do that. Well, I don't like to tell people what to do unless it's really necessary. But bad leader. I think it's somebody that forgets that the people that he's in charge of are human. When I worked over here at this local restaurant, that was my second job. Every human error, it seemed like she thought it was meant to sabotage her in front of her bosses. So every little thing that went wrong, she thought it was just us trying to sabotage her. And I really didn't like that perspective, because that leaves no room for being a human.
Yeah.
I mean, I made dozens, maybe thousands of mistakes at this point, but I forgive most of them. But any little mistake, I try not to beat myself up about it. But when I worked there, if you showed up late, it's because you're trying to make her look bad in front of her bosses. Oh man.
So if you're a leader out there, remember we're all human. I remember that you guys are all human out there. Although I used to consider myself a cyborg because that was a nickname given to me by you.
Oh yeah, I was a kid then. What did I say? Dang it, I lost my train of thought. Oh, great. That happens a
We'll
lot
go
with
to
me.
next question.
Let's see. Last one. Oh, okay. So the last question on the podcast we have: what do you think of leadership in our era? Does it align with your beliefs? I think you touched on the do as I say, not as I do. Did you want to go any further into that?
Yeah, whoever the government leader is today and the head of our country, not really the best of leaders. I'm not going to say any names,
Mhm.
but he's like, doesn't really seem like he favors the people right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just make all the decisions. Seems like he's hurting the people.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like he's helping others to make himself look good all over the world, but his own people don't see him that way. So
Yeah.
I think he's supposed to be a leader, but he's not leading anybody. He seems like more of a manager.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's that good. I mean, we have some good Christian or some good people in leadership roles,
Mm-hmm.
and I just think they need to lead and show what a leader is. I think we can all be leaders,
Mm-hmm.
like good parents with accountability. Even you're a great leader. I see you as a great leader. I mean, you're nearly half my age, and you're still doing a lot better than I was at that age.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, yeah, there are some good leaders, but it's kind of like 50-50.
Yeah, I feel like being being in a position of leadership is just a slippery slope. Some people who aren't good at it will end up being in leadership positions, and those who lead pretty well, sometimes they don't end up in the right spots. But I feel like people are incentivized in this modern era to be slave drivers, I guess. Because I've heard more bad stories about big companies than I've heard about good things happening in those big companies. There are some mom and pop shops that I currently do work at, and I know people who do work at them, that they have great leadership and they have good connections with the people that serve them. And I think that's what a great leader is. You take care of the people who follow you. And I guess that can bleed into politics too.
Yeah.
Take care of the people who support you. Like, well, a president, but
Yeah.
I don't really care much for politics. But,
Yeah. Don't want to get into politics on this
on
channel.
this lovely podcast, this high dollar, this high
Mobile
productions
studio.
mobile studio. But I feel like it's just leadership these days is just a paycheck to some folks. I get a leadership role and I get an extra bonus every year. That's all it is to some folks. But then again, is there any extra incentive to be a good leader? I don't know. You can be a bad leader and still make good numbers and good profits. But maybe you can be a good leader and you might take a hit here or there on some things. But I don't know. It just seems like maybe there's no real good definition of a leader. It probably is a more outlined and defined version of a leader, but at the current moment, I can't think of any.
Well, you people can take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, I'll take that for what it's worth. Take my cynical view of things. But I guess for every bad leader I've ever had, I've known some pretty good ones too. It's kind of like in some churches. Some churches you'll have some that will damn you to hell for thinking otherwise. Other ones, they'll love you regardless. Now, let's take you for example. You love everybody. Well, most folks.
Yeah.
Most folks that are at least decent. And you don't reject me even though I'm not religious.
Yeah, we have two different views. I mean, we're all gonna make our own choices.
Yeah.
And that's what a leader should do: have people make their choices rather than forcing them to make choices for them.
Oh yeah. I think now that I think about it, I think a leader helps you make good choices. Well, a bad leader would force those choices on you.
Yeah.
I guess we can use that to close up the podcast. Leave that for food for thought. But anyway, this has been the Purpose Podcast. This is our mobile studio. We might be shooting here a lot more often. But we try to we try to release our videos the first Sunday of the month. So look out for that. I have been Rayo. This is MR3. And have a good day.